And now I was a young man. My father drowned when I was 3 years old, and my mother remarried and divorced when I was 15. A very violent man. And we had a couple of years before my mom remarried, and in that time, it was horrible, horrible time. We had a prowler trying to break into our house, or nearly a year. Actually, they caught him about I think it was 11 months. Almost every night, he would knock on our windows, try to get in our house. It was a pretty crazy time. Actually, the police actually came out and developed a strategy and set up a perimeter around our house for just months and months because it went on for so long. My mother, who's a very beautiful woman now, is an extremely beautiful woman then, physically, obviously, every way. We lived in a house with no air conditioning in the Bay Area where it gets really humid, so in an old house and kind of in the ghetto, so it was very difficult to lock the windows. Like people would say, why didn't you guys lock the windows? How did someone get in your house? Well, you lock the windows and it gets to be 90 degrees and 70% humidity, and it's just impossible to live. So the prowler had actually got in my mother's bedroom one night. My mother slept with a shotgun, and I slept with a .22. And so she finally refused to sleep in the bedroom, and we locked and screwed the windows, those old kind of windows, screwed them shut. And my mother was sleeping on the couch and with a shotgun. And about three nights prior to the night I'm going to describe to you, a prowler actually got in my window. I stopped locking my window. We didn't have any incidents for a few days, and I thought, well, it's so hot, I'm just going to leave the window open. And prowler got in my window about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was trying to get into the house through my bedroom, and I woke up and saw him yell. He jumped out the window while I got in the rifle and took a shot at him, and it was just really, really, really hard times. And so I laid awake that night, 3 nights later, actually, from that. And I said out loud, I wasn't raised to believe in a God. My mom prayed with us every night, so it's kind of incongruent. We never went to church. I didn't know if God was Buddha, if he's Muhammad, if Jesus. I honestly did not know. I didn't know if there really was a God. My grandfather, who was the most influential person in my life, was an atheist till the year before he was born. Someday I need to tell you that story. That's an amazing story. Before he died. What I said, born? Born. I caught the spirit of Jason. He prayed that we'd be filled with hopelessness. So I'm like, we all knew. We used our discernment, and this. People do it when I'm preaching too. They're, oh, poor, he didn't mean that. But I actually meant before he was born again. And so my grandfather was an atheist. So anyway, so this night, in my room, this is 3 or 4 days after that incident, I'm just wholly terrified. My mom was in the front room in not a very big house. I could hear her cry herself to sleep most nights, and so I was really struggling. And I laid awake at night in the middle of summer, very hot, and I said, if there's a God, I said out loud, if there's a God, if you heal my mother, I'll find out who you are and I'll serve you the rest of my life. An audible voice, and I just want to tell you before I go on, I've only heard the audible voice of God twice, and with both times I didn't know God. I heard an audible voice, and this audible voice said, my name is Jesus Christ, and you have what you requested. The next morning, my mom woke up. Now, my mother was covered. I forgot this part. My mother was covered in psoriasis. The anxiety, of course, had intensified the psoriasis, and it was in her ears, and it was everywhere. It was just all over. It would flake out on her hair. It was horrible. Next morning, my mom comes out from her room, from the front room, and out of the bathroom, and she's completely healed. The psoriasis is completely gone. There was no one more shocked than me. And I think it was about a week later, if my recollection serves me, and the voice came back. Only second time, only on the time I've ever heard the audible voice of God. He said, my name is Jesus Christ. You said that if I healed your mother, you'd serve me, and I'm waiting. True story.